Hey there! Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Stat Me Up for Anfield Index. What a difference a couple of weeks makes, ladies and gentlemen, and for all the wrong reasons. Defeat at home in the first leg at Atalanta was followed by defeat on Sunday, wasn't it, against Crystal Palace. Everything seems to be hanging by a thread, and whether you believe that's one that can pull a train or whether you believe that's one off some crappy Everton Lonsdale-style kecks, it all hangs by that. And it's, Christ, we say it's massive every week, don't we? But it is what it is really now. And as ever, delighted to be joined by the renowned and the respected, the man who'll hopefully try and cheer me up a bit, Ben Bocksak. Ben, do you accept that challenge? It's a big ask, I'm not going to lie right now.
Yeah, I accept it. I think, as much as the last couple of games have been disappointing, I think the Atalanta more so than the Crystal Palace. Yeah. I do think, there are worse situations to be in than the situation that we're in right now. And, as much as I felt really deflated after Crystal Palace, I think less so than the Atalanta one, but after Palace, I felt really deflated. It's been a few days now. Obviously, the Arsenal result helped, give us a little bit more hope. And we spoke about Brighton in the last podcast and how they have a pretty good record against Manchester City. And I'm still feeling optimistic based on all of those factors. I think, it's still possible. I think Arsenal will drop more points, and even in the Europa League, I think you just never know.
Well, let's hope that optimism isn't misplaced. I mean, let's talk about Palace. We've got to really. Like you said, it did feel different from Atalanta. I mean, Atalanta, we were abject. We didn't create a single thing. And to be fair, 3-0 flattered us a little bit in the first leg rather than anything else. Liverpool were really, really bad. This Palace defeat, this 1-0 on Sunday, could you just file it under wasteful, or was there any other thoughts you had around Sunday?
I think it was also poor defensively. We let Palace have a lot of opportunities, and in all fairness to them, they should have scored more as well. I think the XG reflected that. Their XG was around 2, ours was closer to 3. So, on paper, it should have really been a 3-2 victory for Liverpool. Obviously, that's not how it pans out, but based on the scoreline, I think both sides defensively were quite poor. I think one thing that sort of stood out to me is that I made the case for Wataru Endo being the most important player in the Liverpool team, and I said he is the most important player because if he doesn't play well or if he's not in the team, that's when you notice things going badly the most. And I think my point has been proven in the last couple of weeks, because when he hasn't played well, and he hasn't played well. I think even dating back to the Man United game, I don't think he had a good game. We've felt it. We've felt the difference, and we felt how, Liverpool were just a lot more vulnerable in the counter attacks. And I think maybe, I think people might have been surprised by what I said, but I think I still stand by it based on the evidence. And I think Endo has been someone who sort of needs to pick up a little bit of form potentially. I think that's what stood out to me the most, really, the lack of sort of cohesion in midfield. And it's not just Endo's fault, but as the holding midfielder, he's got the most responsibility in there.
Yeah,
I think that stood out to me in both games.
Yeah, it's not exactly been a great period for any of the midfield, almost, it's safe to say. I think even Alexis McAllister, probably the best performing, but it's not been anywhere near his stellar standards. And Christ, I think enough analysis has almost been done on the forward line to death, hasn't it? And XG and their wastefulness and everything along those lines. I mean, this might be tough. Palace, can we give anyone pass marks?
Yeah, it is difficult. I thought McAllister was okay. He won the most duels on the pitch. He did okay, but not great by his standards anyway. I really think we need to start having a conversation about Cody Gakpo as well, because I think he is the most unnecessarily criticised sort of attacker or even Liverpool player at the moment. He's got 18 goal contributions this season. He's been playing out of position for most of the season, even played as a central midfielder and as a forward when really he's more of an attacking midfielder / winger. And he is doing quite well. And I thought he came on, played I think around 24 minutes, half an hour against Palace, and he looked like Liverpool's biggest threat. And I think that was the case against Atalanta as well. So just on the numbers, he actually completed the most dribbles against Crystal Palace out of anyone on the pitch, which was 3. It's not a huge amount. But, it kind of says it all, really. I thought he was he made a lot bigger impact than Luis Diaz did in 66 minutes when he came on in just the short space of time that he was on the field. So I think Gakpo is kind of going under the radar. And even in terms of, I was looking at sort of who's Liverpool's most efficient finisher, striker of the ball, sort of based on shots per goals ratio. Obviously, Diego Jota is first, but second behind him is Cody Gakpo. So I think he's quite an underrated finisher as well. And I've been sort of surprised by some people about him. I think he's kind of being given unfair treatment on social media at times.
It's an interesting one because I don't think he's been great all season, but at the moment, I kind of agree with your sentiments. And Atalanta, I thought, in a poor team performance, he deserved a bit of credit in a really struggling team. And then, like you said, on Sunday, I mean, on another day, he has 2 assists for Curtis Jones, doesn't he? He puts that one across where, for some reason, Curtis Jones just doesn't pull the trigger. No one can quite work that out at all. And then the obvious one, it's his ball with the outside of the boot, wasn't it, on his break? And Curtis Jones, you think, just has to lift it over the keeper on target, and it's a goal. And we know what happens from there. But and again, also, like he down both wings, he beat his man quite a few times. He put some good crosses in. Even for that one where Salah's shot is blocked, it's his cross inside that Jota had, so he made things happen. There's no two ways about it. He created chances. He did the most dribbles. Took on his man quite a bit as well. So, I think there's a big case for Cody Gakpo to be starting this Thursday. I think there really is. No doubts about it at all. The only other one I thought, and I don't even know what the stats say about this, Andy Robertson. He clears the one off the line from Mateta, doesn't he? That's pretty much a god. I don't know what the XG tells you on that, but that's goal saving. Let's be completely clear on that. And he put in a few good crosses. I think there was that, and I remember, where he crosses it to the back post, and Diaz has the shot on the sort of volley that's saved, isn't it, by Henderson, flicks it over. So there's a couple there, but other than that, we are reaching. There's no two ways about it.
To be fair, he created 4 chances, which was the second highest in the game as well. Mohamed Salah actually created the most chances.
Wow.
Which is probably a surprise stat because I think based on the eye test, he didn't have a great game.
No.
But even when, he's not playing well, he's creating 5 chances for Liverpool and, probably should have got a few assists based on some of the chances he's created. So, yeah, I think Robertson was up there, like you mentioned, with everything about the way he he almost seemed to have the only urgency at times in the team.
Yeah.
The way he played, he was sort of instigating things, and maybe that's why Gakpo also played better because them two were just sort of linking up with each other and combining a lot on the left side.
Yeah, no doubts about it. But other than that, it's a stretch. And I suppose the big thing, and everyone's talked about this, and it's fully understandable. You knew it was going to come back. The wastefulness of Sunday, the chances we had, the chances we missed. I mean, just how bad did the stats say it was on Sunday?
I think it's in terms of the XG, I don't think Liverpool have recorded a result quite like this without scoring. I think the stats say it's sort of the worst in 10 years, at least in the Premier League for Liverpool, if not more, from what I can remember. So it's pretty bad. It's pretty unprecedented that, you're getting close to almost 3 XG and you're not scoring a single chance. But I think, you don't even need to look at the numbers to see the obvious, really. There were at least, I think, at least two or three, I dare say 3 or 4 sort of chances that Liverpool should have absolutely taken. That was the Jota one, the Curtis Jones one. I thought the Nunez one is kind of harsh. He hits it really well. Yes, it's straight at the goalkeeper, but
it's not a save, is it? It more just hits Henderson, so to speak. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
He did hit it really well, and it's a difficult strike to pull off. So I don't think it's the worst of the lot. I think if we're talking about misses, it's probably Jones. Like 1-on-1, you got to get it on target. But I think Salah had a kind of huge opportunity as well inside the sort of 6-yard box that he should have scored and would have taken, I think, if he was at his best. So yeah, those sort of 4 chances stand out to me, and they're all chances that I think Liverpool take on another day and probably win 3-4-1. But yeah, it was just pretty depressing. It just felt like nothing Liverpool were going to do was going to put the ball in the back of the net, especially I think after the Jones chance. I think after that I was kind of just thinking like, this is just not Liverpool.
After he put it well, and then that one where you just expect Szoboszlai taps it back and just expect Jota to burst the net, and that one, it's like no one was just hitting it or smashing it into the goal. You did have that sinking feeling of it's just not going to happen today. And here we are, ladies and gents. We'll see what Fulham next in the league brings, won't we, away from home. A weird one, because we all want it to go back to Anfield and have the games, but maybe a change away from Anfield might not be the worst thing. And I mean, speaking of a change away from Anfield, we're going to a different country, Ben, aren't we? We are heading to Bergamo. We are heading to Italy on the back, or for the second leg, on the back of a 3-0 defeat. And it looks, especially in the current climate, it looks a massive ask again. I mean, I know you're more optimistic.
Hello there. Have you ever found yourself getting ready to watch the Liverpool match? You've got your mates round, you've got your drinks, you've got your snacks, you're all set to go. It's going to be a good day. And then you find out, the game's not actually being broadcast in your region. There's the heartbreak, there's rage, there's despair, there's fury. You're upset. You're looking for a solution. Well, we've teamed up with NordVPN to bring you a game-changing solution. That's right. With NordVPN, you can switch your virtual location to a country where the game's on live. It's like having a global ticket to sports, TV shows and movies from all around the world. And here's the best part. If you go to nordvpn.com/Anfield Index, you'll score the best discount on your NordVPN plan. Plus, our link gives you 4 extra months free on the 2-year plan. And that's what we call a winning streak. And if you're sitting there and you're thinking, what if it's not for me? What if I don't like it? What if I'm not getting the use of it? Don't worry about it. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so it's totally risk-free. I've been using NordVPN to catch all the Liverpool matches and TV shows that I'd normally miss out on. It's totally transformed both my weekends and my TV watching. And not only that, not only does it give me access to stuff from all around the world with the click of a button, it keeps all my data safe. It means that the miscreants, the ne'er-do-wells, what my grandmother would have called scallywags, who lurk on the internet to try and steal your information, can't get to your information. NordVPN keeps it safe for you. So don't let geo-restrictions bench you this season. Visit nordvpn.com/Anfield Index and make sure that you're in the game, no matter when or where it's being played. Remember, it's not just sports, it's your all-access pass to binge-worthy TV shows and blockbuster movies from all around the globe. NordVPN literally unlocks the world for you and keeps you safe from the world. So don't miss out. Head over to nordvpn.com/Anfield Index and let the fun and games begin.
The me for this. Honest, have you got some honest belief we can actually turn it around?
I watched Atalanta yesterday. So it is kind of strange that they were playing on a Monday when they have to play on a Thursday. So I think that already gives me a little bit belief in terms of fatigue and playing a part in this.
Yeah.
I think Gasperini did rest quite a few players, but it was still a pretty strong side that he put out. They were 2-0 up in the first half, and then Verona came back to draw 2-2, scored, I think, 2 goals in the space of around 4 or 5 minutes. So very quick flurry of goals. That gives me a little bit of hope watching that game and seeing how Hellas Verona, who are fighting for relegation in Serie A, are able to come back and score 2 goals. And that was at Atalanta's ground as well, by the way. So it's where Liverpool are heading to. Obviously, there's the history of Liverpool going there and winning 5-2, I think it was, in the Champions League recently. That was without fans. But, these kind of things, like, it does make me think it's not impossible. It's Liverpool have done it before. They've won there before. We've just seen Atalanta sort of lose a 2-goal advantage in the league. Plus on that, Liverpool played the Sunday, and Atalanta played on Monday. So again, there is that sort of 24-hour difference in terms of fatigue. I think a huge advantage for Liverpool will be Trent being able to play this game. Obviously, you'd think the fact that he came on and played, I think, around sort of over half an hour, roughly, with added time in the Palace game. So potentially he could be one who starts, and his creativity, I think, is going to be really important if Liverpool are going to have a chance here. Diego Jota, I think he really enjoyed the Atalanta game last time.
Hat-trick. Yeah.
So again, you'd imagine he's one that starts. I can imagine Gakpo being a starter as well on the left wing. I think Liverpool have got goals in them, and we've seen, I think the reason why I'm more optimistic after the Palace game is because we've seen us create at least three really good chances, and I would have been more worried if Liverpool weren't creating chances and weren't sort of manoeuvring into positions where you can score, and we've seen that they are able to do that. So I am less worried in that sense. We just need to find the sort of finishing boots, and I think you'll see it often, like when you're in a rut, when you're sort of lacking in confidence, all you need is one goal, and then everything changes. So if Liverpool can get a goal early, a quick goal, start the game really well, which this season, Liverpool have done a few times, and under Klopp, historically, we have done it as well, although not last season. I remember that was a really bad run. But just in general, under Klopp, we have been able to start games really quickly. I think if that happens, if you get a goal before halftime, even just one goal, that's all you need. And then in the second half, you can really push and try to go for it. And at the end of the day, you only need 3 to equal the tie and take it into extra time. And in extra time, anything can happen. So I think it's still possible. I think Klopp seemed pretty dejected after the game on Thursday, but I think he'll think about it completely differently now. And I think all the players will be sort of determined to create a sort of one last magical Jurgen Klopp European night. And, if it does turn out to be the case, if that does happen, then it's probably not going to be the last one, because there's still a few games on the card after that.
Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff. We've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own two-footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin DeVries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable, they're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye.
We'll have to see. Yeah, well, you suspect he'll take his strongest team. You suspect he will go for it, because what is there to lose a little bit? I mean, did want to ask you from a stats perspective, what are the stats? And what I mean by that, Ben, is when we're behind in that European first leg and we're going into a second leg, especially in these knockout competitions at these stages, what does it look like? Do we usually turn it around, or can you give us any more hope on that?
I mean, I've been looking at just on the Jurgen Klopp. There hasn't been many, but there has been a few instances. So the most recent one was the Real Madrid tie last season.
Yeah.
Obviously, 5-2 defeat. Again, very similar to the Atalanta scoreline. And obviously, we didn't manage to pull that back. Real Madrid beat us 1-0 in the second leg. But that was, I think, a different Liverpool side, and I think a poorer Liverpool side. So it was sort of to be expected. Then again, it was Real Madrid in the 2020-21 season. They beat us 3-1. That was away from home. And then we drew at Anfield. So again, didn't manage to come back. In the 2019 and 20 season, it was Atletico Madrid. They beat us away in that very frustrating game. And then there was another frustrating game at Anfield as well, where they beat us 3-2 in extra time. And again, that Liverpool didn't manage to pull it back. So that's the last 3 times that happened. But the previous 2 times, Liverpool actually managed to overturn a deficit after the first leg. And that was, I'm sure everyone will remember the Barcelona game, and that was that special night, and it did seem kind of like a one-off. But the one that Liverpool fans probably may not remember as much is against Villarreal. Liverpool actually lost 1-0 away from home in the first leg in the Europa League in Klopp's first season, and then came back to win 3-0 in the second leg. But yeah, based on sort of recent history, it does feel like, on average, if Klopp's team loses in the first leg, they don't tend to turn it around. The Barcelona seems like the anomaly, and it's what every pundit and everyone will talk about heading into this game. But on average for the majority of the time. And I think this applies for every European team pretty much. It is difficult to overturn a second leg, but miracles can happen, and we've seen it with Jurgen Klopp that it is possible, not just with that Barcelona game, but plenty of other ties as well.
No doubt. Yeah. Be nice to obviously win. It'd be brilliant. It's a hell of an achievement at rank up there to go through. Maybe nice just to score some goals again and just remember what that feels like and win a game, but we'll have to see, ladies and gents. And I mean, we're mentioning the main man quite a bit there, Jurgen Klopp. And obviously, Ben, we all know that, he's coming to the end of the season and when he's leaving, we all know that. And I mean, it's still a prevalent topic. There's even the Trent overlap interview today. He's got the comments on. He's asked about Klopp. It's understandable. To me, it just seems at the moment that because of that, it adds a drama or a sense to it. And I mean that for the players. Canate's talked before about, how it means so much when I do it for him. Also that I felt it in Anfield on Sunday. Everything seems worse. It's all like Jurgen Klopp's final time. We've got to do it. And it's still mentioned. As much as people thought it would make it a real boo, shall we say, and going hard to the end of the season, do you think now almost too emotional the way everything is and maybe a lack of cool, calm collectiveness, even in finishing and other things? Do you see it as a hindrance potentially at all now?
I don't see it as a hindrance for the players. I think, as a player, it's more of a motivating factor really to, it gives you an extra incentive. If you didn't already have an incentive to win the league,
yeah,
you see it, that it has changed the sort of Anfield atmosphere a little bit. Like, even when I was there against Sheffield United, I just felt this like extra anxiety around Anfield. The crowd just seemed a little bit on edge, a little bit different to what it was like maybe perhaps like when Jurgen Klopp sort of first made his announcement like a few months ago. It does feel like the crowd is that extra anxious. Everyone really wants to have that special fairy tale ending with Klopp. And I think that's understandable. Like, we all want that. I especially want that because the 22nd of May, which would be the Europa League final, is my birthday. And ever since Klopp made his decision to leave the club, I was thinking, win the Europa League, Klopp's last game, that would be my perfect birthday present for that day. Obviously, it looks very unlikely now, but I can understand like completely everyone sort of anxiety and the tension that's in the ground because everyone's so determined. And I think
no doubt,
when McAllister scored that goal against Sheffield United, you can just feel the relief, and then the atmosphere is back to what it normally is and what it always has been. I think Andy Robertson himself, he sort of talked a little bit about the fans after the Crystal Palace game, that he felt the sort of tension, and I don't think that helps. I think the reason why Anfield is a fortress is because of the fans, because of the 12th man and the extra man. And I do think maybe the fact, like when you're playing, you can, as Robertson even pointed out, you can feel the anxiety and the sort of tension in the crowd. So when, it is difficult to play with that kind of tension. So I think in that sense, it might affect the players. But I think in a different sense, in terms of, having extra pressure to win it for Jurgen Klopp, I don't think that would affect them as much. I think they're professional people at the end of the day, and they'll want to win those trophies regardless of who's in charge, regardless of if it's Jurgen Klopp or if it's another manager. That will be their aim.
Interesting. And I suppose the final thing I want to talk about is because it is coming to the end of his tenure. It's not something we ever really want to face into, but it is a fact, as Rafa would say. And speaking of Rafa and former managers, when it comes to the end of a manager's tenure, and I appreciate not all managers knew their tenure at Anfield was coming to an end in the circumstances as well, but how do they normally get on as they come to the end of the tenure? Because we're casting our mind back, aren't we, to the likes of Brendan Rodgers, probably some names people won't want to hear mentioned, but Kenny's second spell and all this. How do they usually go form-wise? What do the stats say right up till the end?
Yeah, so I looked at the last 4 Liverpool managers and their last 6 games, and I kind of gave you the task afterwards to sort of see. I asked you who was the only one that went unbeaten, and you didn't get it. I think not many listeners or viewers will get it either, because I think it's quite surprising that Brendan Rodgers was the one who went 6 games unbeaten before he was sort of fired or go by Liverpool. But I do have to preface that Rodgers' last 6 games involved 4 draws, 2 wins, one of which was against Carlisle in the League Cup. And before that, he lost to West Ham 3-0, Manchester United 3-1.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really, like, I think the unbeaten factor sort of masked the bad run that he was on. Before him, Kenny Dalglish, obviously he had that tenure in charge. He had 4 defeats and 2 wins in his last 6 games. One of those wins was the Norwich game where Suarez scored from the halfway line. So that was probably his sort of best memory out of his last 6 games. Hudson, 2 wins, 1 draw, and 3 defeats. So again, not great, but it probably doesn't surprise anyone. And Benitez, he probably had the best record out of the last 4 managers. He got 3 wins, 1 draw, and 2 defeats, which isn't bad. I think sort of looking at Shankly's time as well is interesting, because Jurgen Klopp is often likened to Shankly, and Shankly actually didn't, apart from winning the FA Cup in one of his last 6 games, like his overall results weren't great. Like he got, I think, 4 draws and 2 wins, or I can't remember correctly now. But yeah, his overall record in terms of the last 6 games at Liverpool wasn't great, and hopefully it doesn't end up that way for Klopp. But I mean, Shankly did end up winning the FA Cup, so I think everything else makes up for it really in terms of his last 6 results.
Yeah, different times, I suppose, as well, as people will say, and different things. But yeah, there's mixed records, I think it's fair to file under, and you have the feeling if Liverpool are going to enjoy any success between now and the end of the season, it will have to be pretty much nigh on perfect. But we will see. Who knows what Thursday night will bring? Will it bring more of the same? Will it see a change? Maybe a change of scenery. Might see a change of result. But with that in mind, all it really leaves me to say is, as ever, Ben, thank you for the stats. Thank you for the insight. And a little bit of positivity, I'll give you that. A little bit more cheery than I did half an hour ago or so. So I'll give you that as well.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. And like I said, I feel like you've got to believe until the very end. You've just got to. Otherwise, there's no point in watching the football matches. There's no point if you don't believe. So that's what I encourage everyone to do for the Atalanta one, and we'll see what happens. You just never know.
Which true. We will see what happens indeed. Maybe we'll even score a goal. Who knows? But, ladies and gents, that was another Stat Me Up for Anfield Index.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.